Hello, I'm Val Walker, and I'm a co-host for the Healing Through Wonder program. It's really a project. It's an ongoing project of collecting stories about awe and wonder and how it has healed us. And many of us here, including our guests today, are here to tell their stories of an awe experience, something that might have been life-changing, life-saving, or just completely changed the whole perspective on living. So I wanted, first of all, people to know where I'm coming from. I blog for Psychology Today and also for the Health Story Collaborative. So I've always been very interested in how stories change our lives, how telling our stories can be healing in their own right. So I love blogging for both of those outlets. And I also have about 20 years experience as a rehabilitation counselor, and I've always believed in the power of support groups and telling our stories and experiences firsthand and having people listen and validate our experiences. So I'm coming from a background like that. I'm the author of a book about healing from grief through reaching out to others called The Art of Comforting, and another book about loneliness called 400 Friends and No One to Call. So in all this research I've been doing with my books and my blogs, wonder and awe keep coming up as experience for people who are healing from trauma or loss or addiction that is totally different than other kinds of healing experiences. And I just think it needs a lot more attention in our stories. So that's where I'm coming from and where the Healing Through Wonder project is coming from. And my co-host is Robyn Houston-Bean. I couldn't do this without Robyn.
Thanks, Val. Hi, everybody. Like she said, I'm Robyn Houston-Bean. I am the founder of the Sun Will Rise Foundation, and we provide peer grief support to people who are bereaved due to substance use related causes. And sitting in our groups with so many people, we hear stories over and over again of times that they've been healed when they've experienced awe and wonder. So I thought it was a perfect match for the two of us together to get together and do these type of stories. So Dawn, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name's Don Lipstein, and I am founder of Imagine Family Recovery. It's a life coaching um, business that focuses on grief and recovery. I also am a facilitator for the Sun Will Rise, and I'm very honored to be working with Robyn and her team.
Thanks, Dawn. And Gary?
Yeah, I'm Gary Carter. I facilitate a group through the Sun Will Rise, as well as very involved with team sharing. Um, I have a little project we do trying to educate parents. This is after I lost my son, Bryant, in 2018. So I'm very, very happy to be here, be a part of this.
Thank you. Well, I think before we start getting into our stories, it's good to make sure we're all on the same page about a definition for awe and a definition for wonder. And I thought a really good way to go with this is one of the most well-known researchers on awe and wonder from the Greater Good Science Center in Berkeley, California, and many other researchers along with him, but he headed up a huge study of awe and wonder. His name is Dacher Keltner, and just say in his book called Awe, it's fantastic. But I'm going to read a definition of awe in his book. It says, awe is the feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your current understanding of the world. So awe is a transcendent emotion. It unlocks a lot of your perceptions and opens you up. And then after you've had that big opening, wonder is often the spin-off of it, the result of it. And you wonder about the big thing you had awe with. You keep wondering about, well, what happened? And you want to learn about it. So let's see what he says about wonder. Wonder, the mental state of openness, questioning, curiosity, and embracing mystery arising out of experiences of awe. And in our studies, people who find more everyday awe show evidence of living with wonder. They are more open to new ideas, to what is unknown, to what language cannot describe, to seeking new knowledge. They feel more comfortable with the mysteries of life. So it's so much of the reason scientists have been studying awe in the last 10 years, especially, is that it makes us more comfortable with the unknown, with uncertainty, with mysteries of life, and helps us see beyond just our own everyday thinking. So I'm going to leave it there because I want some real stories because stories put it best, really. So, Robyn, you want to, you've got a story too.
I do. I do. I went on the hunt for awe and wonder. If you'll remember the last time we left, I was heading
yeah.
to go towards the eclipse. I wanted to get to the path of totality because I've heard from everybody, like being just in the 99 percentile or the 100 percentile is like night and day, literally. So
Literally.
I had to go there. I had to go there. And I did. So it took me about 8.5 hour drive. And then to my disappointment, I was going to be clouded over. I was so sad and so heartbroken that I was like, I built this all up. And then I was like, nope, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to a meteorologist, which I did. I tracked one down and I said, where am I going from here to get to the eclipse? And I did. I drove another 4.5 hours away and I made it to Ohio. So I found a little park and I was by myself. I ended up not having anybody on this trip with me, and
Wow.
that was unexpected. But I was definitely going to go. So, I was trying to be in the moment as much as I could. And one thing that I hate is um, in my grief, I find like my short-term memory has been really affected, even these many years later, that I can't remember certain things. So as I was there waiting for the eclipse, I got out my phone and in my notes, I started to write down things. What was I hearing? What was I feeling? What was I thinking? And it was amazing, right? To just sit and really be in that moment. And there were a whole bunch of other people around me. And I was just observing them and how weird it was. We all just came together, these strangers at one spot to do something. And then it started happening, right? I got my glasses like everybody else does. And when the actual totality happened and the cold came, here I am in this park with all these other people and waiting. I've got my glasses on and it's getting smaller and smaller. And the darkness came, it cooled my skin. And you had a 360-degree sunset around you. Right? I got up because I had to take this video. And it's funny looking back at it. It's very quiet, very quiet. And all at the end, you could hear me saying, wow. Like it made me like literally say wow out loud. When the totality happened, it's just like you said, I don't have words that can describe what I felt in that moment. I felt very tiny. I felt like all I could think of is the people that came before us that this happened randomly to, and they had no idea it was going to happen. Like, and what were they thinking when the sun just completely disappeared, right? The moon covered it and they didn't know what was going on. It gave me goosebumps. It gave me chills. It was everything that I think I had hoped it would be that I was going to go see. It wasn't a letdown, so I was really happy about that. But it was magical and it made me feel like a child again. When you have that just, you're just open to anything and that experience, I will not, I did not write down anything after the buildup, right? As I was sitting there, I was writing down so I wouldn't forget. I didn't write anything after that because you know what? I will never forget that moment.
Right.
I left that area. It felt a little sad when it was over and to have to drive away, but I was on this like high, like my dopamine level was really, really like just wow, this is really, I was like feeling a little, jiggy about the whole thing. And I now can't wait to go find another one. I need to do this again because of what it made me feel. And it's very hard to put into words for someone who's not experienced totality. I get now what the other people were saying. So
Yeah.
that was my trip to find awe and wonder, and boy, did I.
Well, bravo for you sticking it out there and getting all the way to Ohio. That's fantastic. Oh, we're in Massachusetts, by the way. So, okay. All right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was amazing, and I would highly recommend 10 out of 10. So anybody can go do that when the
Yeah.
next one comes. I would like to now have Don share his story with us.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing yours, Robyn. I need to set this up a little bit. My oldest son was 23 when he died by suicide in 2011, and for his birthday every year, I found a way to honor him somehow, some way, and it varied the different ways that I would do it. But it was about 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, and it was his birthday, and I have a routine, or I had a routine exercise routine where I would do qigong, I would meditate, and I would do a plank. And this was first thing in the morning, like I'd wake up and do this. Well, I'd gotten up on his birthday and I didn't have any idea yet as to how I wanted to honor him on his birthday. So I'm doing my qigong routine, and in my head, I hear his voice say, "Dad, I know how you can honor me." And I started laughing to myself, and I'm like, "Okay, how?" And he said, "I want you to do a 4-minute plank." Now, I had just moved from a 2-minute plank to a 3-minute plank, and I was having a real tough time with the 3-minute plank. So I was like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And he's like, "Just do it, Dad. You can do it. I'll be there with you." And I said, "Well, if you're there with me, I'll give it a try." And so I'm finishing my qigong routine, and I'm starting to get really excited about doing this plank. In fact, I was looking forward to it, and I felt like I can do this. I can do a 4-minute plank, even though I was struggling doing a 3-minute. So I get down, and I don't know if you know what a plank is, but you're like this, and you're on the floor. Your body is straight, your toes are touching the floor, and this part of your arm is touching the floor. So and your head is up. So I get down, I set the timer for 4 minutes, and I decide I'm not going to look at the timer because that's what really messes with my head if I look at it. So I'm going along, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. And I knew some time was going by. And finally, I said, I've got to look and just to see. And it was at 3.5 minutes. So I'd already passed 3 minutes, and I was still going strong. And I'm like, I've got this. I can do this. And I was so excited. And I hear his voice say, "Go for 5." And I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm going for 5. And I did a freaking 5-minute plank at 61 years old. And I I swear to God, I was laughing hysterically afterwards. And I mean, I was in pain, but I was so touched, and I felt like he's with me. Like there is no question in my mind that his spirit is with me. There's no way I could have done a 5-minute plank without him helping me. So that was the best day. I can remember the rest of the day. I was smiling and just as happy as could be. And I told everyone about it, and it was just very heartwarming and I felt his presence all day long, and I could feel him being very proud of me, and I was very proud of myself. So,
Wow.
If no one has done a 5-minute plank, like I used to be competitive bodybuilder, like that is so hard and so beyond the norm to be able to do that.
Mm. It really is something.
Wow. Have you now let me ask you, have you attempted that any other time after that without it,
oh,
and did you find yourself struggling again because you were doing it alone?
so that's a good question, Gary. I decided I'm never going to try it again. Not if I'm.
Why
But
why
I
press
had
fate, right?
right. I was like, that was good. That was good. But I have done 4-minute planks since, and like it definitely gave me the confidence that I can do a 4-minute plank.
Right.
Wow.
Do you think that hearing his voice like just pushed you forward in your healing, that knowing he was with you gave you a different perspective on things?
Absolutely, and I feel him in my heart always now. So I do feel like I'm being guided by him. I've been guided by him, and I just, yeah, I feel so much more confident. Life, and I've gained an acceptance, which I had before, but this is even more now, that he is where he is and I am where I am. He's still doing the good work that he's doing. And I'm trying to do good work in honor of him. Um, so I think just having that experience just kind of underscored for me that I'm on the right track,
Yeah.
and that things are I'm doing the right thing.
I'm curious, sometimes when people first have the awe experience, like I hear what you were doing, but I'm wondering that first few seconds, what happened to you when you first heard, you think, his voice, or we're talking the first few seconds when the awe started to happen, when you sort of shifted out of your normal thought process and went, whoa, wait, what? Whatever we do. But can you tell me a little bit about those seconds?
Yeah, I was like, first, I was like, there's no way that I could do this. Like that was my first
Right.
initial thoughts. But then as I started doing it like I just felt like I can do this. And this voice in my head kept saying, you can do this. Like you're going to do this. And it really, pushed me to push my level of tolerance, so it was, I felt like that was healing in itself.
Right. Well, all turns your attention inward, outward. So you listened up. Somehow it came through. So that's remarkable. Gosh.
And then I bet it was amazing when you shared that story with other people, like that they were
Right.
like, are you kidding me? How'd you do that? And you're like, it's the power of Josh,
Yeah, I wrote an article that went in the TAPS magazine about it too, because it was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy
Amazing.
telling that story. I really do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Do you
Mhm.
want to tell us another one, Don? Did you have another one? I think.
I do. It's the same. So it's with Josh again. 2 months after he died, and this one will be real quick. But 2 months after he died, I got remarried, and he was supposed to be the best man at the wedding. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was outside, and it was just gorgeous, 70 degrees, no wind. It was May 7th of 2011, and there's about 100 people in the, watching, and the person that was marrying us said, we're gathered here to witness the marriage of Don and Carol, and there's many of us, or there's many people, and there's many who couldn't be here. And she mentioned Joshua's name. And right after she mentioned his name, this whoosh of wind came and hit me and everyone else. Like it hit me on the face. And I saw the leaves and the trees were, wrestling around. And it only lasted for a second or two. And then it was calm again. And I looked at everyone, and all I could do was smile. And again, I felt like, okay, he's here, he's with us, and he approves of what's happening.
Yeah,
That's amazing, and it shows like these awe and wonder moments don't have to be these huge elaborate things, right? They can just be these little small seconds that just take your breath away, right? You must have been like, what is going on here?
And I imagine the whole group of people felt it. It was a huge unified awe moment. It must have been everybody.
It was, and it's funny because I talked to people right directly afterwards, and everyone was like, "Yeah, that was wild." But when I mention it now, and it's what is it, 13 years later, many people don't remember it. My wife and I and the kids that were my kids who were up on the stage with us, they remember, but the audience members don't remember it. So,
I bet in some part of their mind, it's still in there somewhere.
maybe, and maybe some of them, but the ones that I've asked, they're like, yeah, I don't recall that.
Yeah.
But you can take awe and it can just be for a few minutes with you and then leave you, right? Sometimes because you're the focus, that like it was so important to you, you hold on to that awe and wonder. But that affected them that day. They got something out of it in the moment.
And that was a sign that was meant for you, not necessarily everybody else. So
right.
Gary, did you want to go ahead and share one?
Well, yeah, it's funny. It's, we're both kind of talking about the same things because my stories are all kind of connected together. It's almost like one long story, but it's about the signs, from our loved ones lost. Because when I lost my son Bryant in 2018, it was February of 2018, and I was completely lost, honestly, not knowing. And I'll probably end up getting emotional a couple of times here anytime I talk about my son, but just didn't know what I was going to do. I couldn't imagine, how I was going to survive it, and did not know where life was going to lead me, whatever. So my wife had heard about a group, Team Sharing, and she had got involved with it. Like I said, I was kind of lost and I was looking for things, and I put it, I wanted to join the group, and of course the woman who founded it, she's like, well, it's really a mother's group, but you're more than welcome to join. That now there's more men in it, but I did, and then I heard about them going down in August to down to Stamford, Connecticut, to march in front of Purdue Pharma. So, in the meantime, between this time, talking with different people, being around other people of loss and people talking about the signs and things like that. And of course, when they would talk about them, my reaction would be, oh, that's wonderful, and this and that. But in my head, I'm saying, well, it's nice that gets you by, gets you through. But I don't believe, I didn't believe in any of that stuff. So we get down there to Connecticut, and my wife and I had made a poster with different pictures of my son on it to carry out in front of there. And there was another woman that at the time I didn't know her really, and I hadn't actually met her before, but she was involved with Team Sharing. And in fact, she's a facilitator now, her group, Mary Peckham, Robyn, as Mary. she had been putting messages out on team sharing on the site that, if you can't be there, but you want your child to be there, send me his picture. And all these people were sending her pictures, and she made these sandwich boards. And we get down there and she's wearing one, and we're walking around and she's carrying another one in her hand. And I think she had gotten somebody else to carry one. And I'm like, again, I'm still lost. I don't know what I should be doing. But I knew for some reason something was telling me I had to be there. And I saw her carrying the other one. And I just made the comment to her. I says, "Oh, you're doing double duty, huh?" And she goes, "You want to wear one?" So I said, "Sure." So I took the one that she was carrying and I put it on. And it was a pretty hot day. And as the events took place and it was wrapping up and it was coming to an end, my wife and I started talking to someone else that we met there, and we're just standing there talking. And I took the sandwich board off. And this is, I'm just going to show you a picture. This is Mary actually with her sandwich board on. You can see how she made these sandwich boards up. And I'm wearing one of those. I take it off and we're talking. All of a sudden, my wife, just her eyes almost popped out of her head. She's just looking at me. I go, "What?" And she goes, "Look at your shirt." And I'll show you a picture of my shirt. I had perspired a perfect heart in the middle of my shirt under the sandwich board. And I said to her, I said, "Is there anything on my back?" And I turned around and she said, "Angel wings."
Oh
my
gosh.
And people are all looking at me like, how did you do that? Somebody even asked me, "What did you do to make that happen?" I said, "Nothing." And like I said, it was a very hot day. And from there, we walked down to an art studio, and there was an artist that invited us all down there. His whole exhibit was based on addiction and overdose. And I got people there taking pictures of me, and asking me to stand against the wall like I was an exhibit. And the place was freezing in there. The air conditioning was so high. We were in there for hours, and this would not go away. It would not dry up, would not leave, would not go away until we were along in my car on the way home. Then it finally started to go away. And that was just my undeniable. To me, it was a message either from Bryant or from everybody that was on that sandwich board that I was doing the right thing. And that kind of set me on my course of getting involved and trying to do things in my son's name for others. So I ended up joining I was invited, and so was my wife, to become board members of Team Sharing. I recently stepped down after 4 years, but my wife is still on there. But one of the things I want to do when we were in there, it's a group for parents of loss, basically a Facebook page, but also some of us would work as advocates for different things. But in the board, we'd have our board meetings and stuff, and I just felt we weren't doing enough. We're not the type of group, and I'm sure Robyn will agree with the Sun Will Rise. We're not like an Elks Club. I'll say that because I'm a member of the Elks, where we're trying to increase membership. We wish there wasn't a need for us, and we don't. So we need to do something to, try to slow down the numbers or whatever. So I had pitched the idea that well, I went to the Elks because my wife and I are members, and asked them to turn one of their drug awareness trailers into a trailer where they could educate parents, basically kind of like a in plain sight type thing, but make a mock child's bedroom in one of their trailers. And then people from Team Sharing, including myself, would, do all the work, when it goes out to events and stuff, try to educate parents. They didn't want to take responsibility for that, but they ended up donating money to us for us to purchase a trailer. And my wife and I built a mock child's bedroom in it. We take it around all over the state, trying to educate parents, show them possible signs of substance use and hiding places and things like that look perfectly normal in a child's room. So, and after I purchased the trailer, I brought it back here to my house and put it in my yard. And I'm in the trailer. One of the first things I do, and this is just before COVID breaks out, so took a year to get it back, actually get it done and get it out on the road. But I'm in there priming and painting it. And I've got it's a big back door flipped down. It's one of those, it's a landscape trailer, box trailer. So I got a chair in there and I'm taking my breaks. And all of a sudden I look over. Well, this is me, how I was inside the trailer. I was in the process of painting after priming it. So you can see the chair there. And I'm when I'm sitting in that chair taking a break, I look out. This is a little blurry because I blew it up, but there's this cardinal standing there staring at me inside the trailer. And everywhere, that's another picture before I blew it up, but you can see, but I blew that up just to show that he's looking right at me. And then he hops down onto the ground, get a closer look, and he's just staring at me to see everything I'm doing in the trailer. And I was just like, if that's not Bryant watching me, getting this trailer ready. And, it was just another, confirmation to me that I was doing the right thing. Bryant approves of what I was doing. And then the most recent thing to happen was, and I told this one to Robyn before, we're involved with the drug awareness program with the Elks, Massachusetts Elks. And actually, my wife is becoming the chairperson for the entire state. I'm the chairperson for our lodge. But we had a meeting of the committee for the state at our lodge here in Maynard, Mass. And it was on a Sunday morning before the lodge was open, but we met down in the lounge area, and we have these windows out facing the back that go along the whole wall. Now, our building sits right against the Assabet River. And there's a huge parking lot that goes down along the river. And of course, the Assabet River is very long. So this could have been anywhere, but it was just right there. And I'm in the conversation and I'm sitting at a table facing towards the windows. And I'm actually in mid-sentence and I had to stop and point out to everybody. Now, my wife and I were the only ones there that had lost somebody. But in our lodge, we have lost 5 young men. That includes my son and 4 others. And there were 5 male cardinals out there chasing each other around. And I've never seen 5 males together. I've seen maybe 2 chasing a female. 5 male cardinals chasing each other around right in those windows for me to see on, hopping on the branches of the brush there along the side of the river, back and forth, back and forth. Unfortunately, I didn't take any pictures of it because we were in the middle of a meeting and stuff. And I just couldn't wait to tell the other parents that had lost, and I'm like, if that doesn't tell you that our kids are together, I've had a couple other experiences with signs and also something else that some friends have told me that have lost a child and things that they were told about my son being with theirs, helping somebody else adjust. It just confirmation for me. And I believe me, I'm not that I don't, it's confirmation I'm doing the right things, and it's confirmation to me that I'm going to see my son again.
Yeah.
And I would say my wonder was probably before the awe, because I was lost before that incident down. And I just plain didn't believe in the signs. And I was, I would have never told somebody that before, because I would never want to discourage them. And if signs were working, what they thought were signs were working for them. But then these were just so undeniable for me. And I get little ones like, I go to work on, my son's fiance, it was his fiance. She's now married with somebody else, but I still consider her my daughter-in-law. And I went over to work on her car, and there's the dime laying right there underneath where I'm working on her car. That, little things like that. Or we talk in the men's group where, ask for a specific sign, and I started, first sign my son ever sent me was a heart. So anytime I want a sign, I ask him for a heart, send me a heart. And within a day or two, I'll come across a heart. And one of them was at a vigil in Marlborough on Overdose Awareness Day. And one of the stories that the person who runs the vigil talks about is sea glass, and comparing that to our grief and how the glass is broken in the sharp edges, but over time, how the waves beat on it and smooth out the edges. And that, our grief is a lot like that. And at the end, she had this big jar. Now, this is pitch black out. It's at night. And she had a jar just full of sea glass. And she invited everybody on their way out to just reach in and grab themselves a piece of sea glass. And I had, day prior, asked my son, send me a heart. And we walked by, and I just reached in, not looking, grabbed a piece of sea glass, and I'm walking back to my car, and it's almost a perfect heart.
Yeah.
So I often wonder too, in those first months, how many signs did my son send me that I didn't see because I wasn't open to it? I think it's a matter of being open to the signs.
Yeah.
And I also, and I talk I talk with people about this. Like, I'm sure you all remember the movie Ghost. What was it? Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, right?
Yeah.
And I think of when he first passes away and he's always around her, but he's trying to figure out ways to let her know, you know. And wouldn't you do that, yourself? If we had passed on and we were around people, we'd be trying to put something in their way or something to let them know that we're there, And I think of the subway scene where he's with that other girl trying to learn from him how he can start moving things or doing things. I mean, why wouldn't we be doing so? Why wouldn't our loved ones be doing that to us right now?
Right.
The trajectory of you going to that, protest, and then the heart and the angel wings on your back, and you being a source of awe and wonder for all the other parents that are there, that wasn't lost on me, right? It was amazing to you and Tracy, but all those other people that were there, when you showed that picture, I remember that got posted. I don't know if you did
did it?
Somebody did back when, and that just triggered that memory for myself because I couldn't make it to that. And I was disappointed in myself for not being able to be at that protest. But when I saw that, I felt like I was part of that way back when, and you just brought that back to me. It was really amazing and profound to so many people. And I remember Mary talking about that at another event to us.
Yeah. I can, Tracy could tell you, my wife, that, I was very open with her that I didn't buy into the signs. I didn't believe in the signs, and I was sad about it, and that was, how could I deny that?
Right.
Yeah. Gary, do you recall the thoughts that were going through your head at that time? Like when you saw that?
It's just like you said, the connection with my son. I knew, like, I don't always feel my son near me. I think sometimes, like, when you have those times where you don't even know what triggered you, grief just hits you. It could be, everybody could be in bed, you could be sitting in a chair. I always think about it in my own mind that that's my son. Maybe he put his hand on my shoulder or something. The other times when I'm doing okay, I'm okay that I don't feel his presence because I know he's where he's supposed to be. He's watching over his son, So I always keep that in mind. But yeah, that day I was like, it was wow, I had this. He is around me. It confirmed everything that I will see him again. He approves of what I'm doing. And it set the course for everything I do now.
I think you appreciate the everyday awe too, when you have these big moments, like driving during this time of year, like the daffodils that are around, like they bring me some sense of, wow, right? Here we are renewing stuff again. It's amazing that the earth brings forth these beautiful flowers every year after like the cold and the dark. And it just, sometimes I think if I hadn't had some big moments, I would be more like in like a depression and not see the beautiful things out there. Like I would still be really in a sadness. And by these things that I get to experience and they change my thinking a little bit, then I'm open to other stuff. And then that helps. It's like the cyclical type of thing.
Right.
And that's all signs too of our grief journey changing a bit because, certain things like that would be a trigger early on in your grief because things are changing. We're going into another season, and that's another season without our loved ones. Wow. And a lot of the memories and stuff that we had that were actually good memories, but they were crushing. And, to remember them early on, but now they're good memories again. You get to that point where, and it's all about that they lived. It's not about, it's no longer about that they passed. They did live. And, with some of the things that we're all doing, they still live on. My son still touches people all the time.
You're not alone having these experiences. And you're not alone, but then again, you're part of something so huge and unexplainable. Makes it kind of really comforting, right? To be part of this bigger thing.
Yeah. And it helps us learn to work with timing of things. Well, how do you all feel about that? That the more open you are, you don't have to see it have to happen. It's going to happen in its own time. Does it give you patience? Like, I'm just curious, did it affect your sense of just allowing things to happen when they were meant to happen?
Yeah, I find myself much more now than 10, 15 years ago, just allowing things to unfold. And and I don't, you're right, the patience piece. I feel like I've always been a patient person, but I have more patience now, and not just with other people, but with myself too. And that's, I think I've always been really tough on myself, but I've given myself a lot of grace, which I was not able to do years ago.
Grace and patience, yeah. Well, we've covered such beautiful ground. I feel like this is a good time to bring some things to a close. It's just been wonderful to hear these stories. Anybody want to add anything with these reoccurring signs? And
I just want to thank you, Val, for providing this space and allowing Gary and Robyn and I to share these stories.
thank you for being here.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. I so appreciate it. And your stories, it's just such a gift to have people come together like this and do this. And Robyn, thank you again. And you're always here with me, co-hosting.
I appreciate the space. We get it in our small groups of our grief groups, but those aren't shared with the world. And this is beautiful that we get to share some of these out here and let the rest of the world know that they're not alone, experience awe and wonder and these signs and amazing things happen. So thanks, Val. And
Yeah.
or
Thank
whatever.
you all. I hate to say goodbye, but we shall meet again. We'll have more experiences to share. Keep this good thing going.
Thanks a
Best
lot.
to you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.